Welcome to the Innovation Forge. But what if we want to be a little bit more dynamic with how we're counting events? Maybe we want to know how many events did the student register for, maybe within the week of them receiving their decision of admittance. And this could be admission decision, this could be financial aid letter, package, award, however you want to call the financial aid piece, or a transfer evaluation. So we're going to, we can make a copy of this one up here again. We're going to make a copy of that count events and interviews. And we can just do that piece where we're just counting events. And we can inactivate the interview so it's not calculating anything. And so we're going to go back into our events nested subquery there. And we want to look specifically this time on counting only events that the student registered for within 7 days of receiving their admission decision. So this is not admission created, this is not admission released, but actually when they opened it. So they're aware that they were admitted, and now we're seeing what kind of actions or engagements are they doing after they know they are admitted. So we'll add another subquery filter here, and just events registered within 7 days of decision, except, except received. And we'll just do a formula here. And before we get into the formula here, I want to just calculate the value we're going to be filtering off of. I think it'll be a little bit clearer and easier to understand what we're doing if we actually calculate the value first. So this is just going to be a date diff, and we covered date difference a little bit earlier, but especially with like the login streaks. But this is just going to be what the difference in dates, and the value will just be the number of days between accept, opened, and the event registration. And we're just going to change this to a formula. And we're going to pull our exports here. So decision, accept, received, open date. And then we're going to then do form start date. We're not going to do form start date because that would be them attending within 7 days. So let's do form response submission date. So we have our two dates. So we're just going to do a date diff. And this is just the SQL way of saying what's the difference between two dates. We do have to declare what kind of unit of measurement. We can do day, week, whatever that increment is. And then we're going to choose our received date. So that's our first anchor date. And then our next date that it's going to do the comparison to is that form response form submission date. So that's when they actually registered for the event. So we're going to save that. No, it would help if I put a comma instead of a period. So now we have the number of days between them opening their decision and them actually registering for the event. So now we can actually look at what is that value and is it between a certain criteria. Again, we could probably do this with a couple of comparison filters. I think this is a little bit easier because we can just do a between and just declare it here. So we're just going to do a date diff. So what is, so that if they registered for an event 3 days after they open their decision, that's going to return the value of 3. So is this between 0 and 7? So did they sign up for an event the day of or 7 days after? You could also, if you wanted to score, like, oh, if I think it's a higher score if someone signed up for an event the same day versus 5 days later. You can write a formula to add your scoring rubric to the number of days here, but we're just basically adding a flag of did they register for an event, or how many events did they register for in the first 7 days after receiving their decision. So we are going to remove this counting events attended. Because this is only going to show that Venn diagram of signed up for events and also attended those events. And for like this kind of analysis, we don't necessarily want to know how many events they attended. We just want to know did they sign up for events and how many did they sign up for. So if they signed up for 3 events within that 7-day window, in this form template, form folder of the event type, before we're going to inactivate that one. Because that's just before them depositing, or if they did not deposit within the deadline. So I think it's a little reasonable to remove that here just for this analysis. And we're counting events within 7 days except decision. So we're going to save a copy there too. So this is not an exhaustive list of the ways you can start pulling these kinds of counts in these time windows, but just give you a starter window to kind of peek into of what you can be doing when you're looking at these specific student journey, say windows or student journey periods, to understand how they're engaging with your institution and how that might be correlated or affect your outcome behaviors, like did they apply, did they enroll, did they melt, those kinds of pieces.